Hello, my name is Caleb Crane. This is my speech on communication in competitive team-based video games. In competitive video games, communication is key for success. Anybody who's ever played a competitive video game knows the frustration of having that one teammate that will not call out where the enemy is to benefit the team, especially in competitive video games where communication is most important for success. Games now offer several ways for players to communicate with other players on their team. Games such as Counter-Strike Global Offensive, League of Legends, and Overwatch require communication to be successful and to perform at the highest level. In this speech, I will be talking about how players in these three games use communication in an aspect to be successful. Counter-Strike Global Offensive uses team communication when deciding on which objective they want to go to and how they are going to achieve this objective to win the game. In 2014, Adam Doyle wrote an article called Militarization of Interactions in FPS that talks about the team communication that is required to have a perfect coordination and strategy to complete the objectives in team-based video games. The article talks about how communication as a team helps the timing and execution when pushing an objective to win the game. Sometimes players may be on different spots on the map, so it helps if you see an enemy on the certain part of a map to let your teammates know where the enemy is, so that when your teammate has to encounter the enemy, they will be ready for them. CSGO also has callouts for these maps that players can learn to make communication with their teammates even easier. The timing of when you call out to your teammates where an enemy is extremely crucial to your team winning the round and ultimately the game. Now that I've discussed CSGO, or Counter-Strike Global Offensive, let me move on to my next point, which is League of Legends. League of Legends has a specific game mode called Summoner's Rift, where 5 players have specific roles they can choose from, and these roles must communicate together in order to beat the objective before the other team. League of Legends map Summoner's Rift is a 3-lane map with 2 jungle areas separating the 3 lanes of the map. The map is also set up where players have a zoomed-in view of their character, so they cannot see everything that is going on outside of their view. That is why League of Legends put a pinging system in place in the game so players can communicate from opposite sides of the map. In 2014, Zachary Topes and others wrote an article called A Framework for Cooperative Communication Game Mechanics from Grounded Theory, where he talks about the ping system that League of Legends uses that allows their players in the game to non-verbally communicate. The article talks about how players can use different pings to ask their teammates for help or let teammates know that they may be getting attacked from someone that they cannot see yet. This form of nonverbal communication is what makes League of Legends such a successful competitive game that it is today. Now that I've discussed League of Legends, let me move on to my next point, which is Overwatch. Overwatch is another team objective-based game that has teams of 6 players that choose 3 different roles, 2 players for each role. Each of these roles have to communicate to help the team complete the objective and beat the enemy team. In 2018, Victoria Lipovia and others wrote an article called Coordination, Communication, and Competition in Esports, a comparative analysis of teams in 2 action games explaining the coordination and communication needed to be successful in team-based games. Overwatch requires this coordination and communication from each of its roles to successfully take the enemy down and win the game. Overwatch offers a communication wheel to communicate with your teammates non-verbally, and players can also communicate over headsets in the game. The creators realized that it is important for players to communicate in the game, so they added voice lines through a communication wheel to supplement communication. It is used for certain things like telling your teammates you need help or you need healing, or you're about to use your ultimate attack. These ways of communication help players play Overwatch at a competitive level and communicate together. In conclusion, competitive team-based video games such as CSGO or Counter-Strike Global Offensive, League of Legends, and Overwatch have made their games where communication is a necessity to be successful. In CSGO, it is important to communicate with your team by calling out so that your team knows where the enemy is before the enemy finds out where they are. In League of Legends, it is important to use the ping system so your teammates who are not near you on the map know what is going on and are not caught off guard by a surprise attack. In Overwatch, it is important to communicate with your team using the tools that have that have made available to be successful and to know what the plan for winning the game is. Communication has come a huge role in becoming successful in team-based video games.